Hello, good afternoon. It's a gorgeous, finally spring in Minnesota. So I'm glad that you joined this training rather than, being outside enjoying the weather. We have a handful of people. Before we go, probably in detail, maybe we can just take some couple of minutes to say hello. Um, we'll see how we can unmute and then at least say name and then which COC or which planning entity like MTC you are part of. That would be great. I can go first. My name is Jiyoung Choi. She, her, hers pronouns. I work for Minnesota Housing and I do manage this grant. That's why I'm here. Meredith, do you want to go next?
Yes, that sounds great. My name is Meredith Mayrand. She, her, hers pronouns. I also work for
Meredith?
I think I maybe got muted there in the middle. Sorry about that. I was just letting you all know that I'll be working with you closely through the due diligence phase. I work on our contracting team, so I'll look forward to working with all of you more.
Sorry, it might be me because I want to like unmute people for next and then I probably did something else. It's me who is bad on technology. So we'll see. How can I unmute all attendees to say hello? Okay, I did okay, now I'm muted and unmuted again. Carla, do you want to say hello?
Hi, this is Carla Solom, West Central COC.
Thank you. Cody, do you want to go next? You can probably unmute yourself. Yeah.
Oh, Corey with Northwest COC.
Thank you. Next I can see from the list is Dara.
Hello, this is Dara with the West Central Minnesota COC and Clay County HRA.
Thank you. Jennifer, you want to go next?
Hi, this is Jennifer Prims. I'm the COC coordinator with River Valley COC in the Southeast region. My pronouns are she, her.
Thank you. Justin, you're next.
Hello, Justin Borbach, Southwest COC coordinator.
Thank you. Christy, can you unmute yourself? Yep.
Yep, Southwest Minnesota Housing Partnership, Southwest COC.
Thank you, Christy. Nova, are you with us? You can unmute yourself, Nova. Okay, maybe she's having some technical issue or she might step in out for a few minutes. So Nova seems like joining us, but I will double check later. Patty?
Hello, it's Patty Beach-Jook, and I'm the COC administrator for the Northeast COC.
Thank you. Tim?
Hi there, Tim Poland, Central Minnesota COC coordinator.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So I think seems like, except Nova, everybody's microphone is working. So maybe later, if you have any question or comment, you can just unmute yourself and then, share those things, or you can also utilize the question or chat box so we can probably answer some of your comments or question as well. So the statewide strategic plan planning grant, again, thank you so much for applying and went through this RFP process with us. And also I want to share that, the congratulations that you got or selected and awarded some grant from us. So if I Meredith, I don't know, are you able to move the slide? So if you can go to that overview slide, that'd be great. Okay, yeah, so the few minutes I'm going to, probably remind you about the overview and purpose of this grant. And then Meredith will share a little more detail about the due diligence and how you can probably prepare those things for us. And then with a reminder of some submission and deadlines. So we will also make sure that we have some questions time in the end. But again, if you have some question in the middle, feel free to use those question or checkbox. That might be maybe preferred, but you can still share verbally as well. So the statewide strategic planning grant, you did apply this grant. So through the audit process, you are aware of the funding goals and purpose. But this is we are providing funding to support local and regional effort to advance housing, racial, and health justice. So this aligns with the direction of statewide planning efforts led by the Minnesota Interagency Council on Homelessness. We call them MICHA, so you might heard about them. Focused on achieving housing, racial, and health justice for people experiencing homelessness. So the expected outcomes of this grant are to connect, again, local community to statewide planning efforts. And also we would like to implement actions related to, again, the housing, racial, and health justice, and develop strategy, service models, and best practice, and build partnership where gap exists. So I think, although Minnesota Housing has provided this kind of financial resources to Greater Minnesota, the COC, I think since 1993 or 1994, to support the COC-wide activities and strategy. It's interesting still, we have to remember that it is a one-time funding, even though over 20 years we have done this. And this year particularly, it is up to $350,000 available, and it's for 12 months, July 1st this year through June 30 next year. That's what we are trying to cover. So that's a kind of overview program overview. And the Meredith is going to go a little more detail about the due diligence.
Thanks, G. So we're going to go over the due diligence items required to execute your grant contract agreements. You can refer to the selection letter that was sent to you for a little bit more detail. We'll be talking today about the grant contract agreement itself, the board resolution, insurance documentation required, work plan and budget, the acknowledgement form, and then payment information, including your SWIFT vendor number, W-9, and electronic funds transfer form. So starting out with the grant contract agreement, we would encourage you to review the entire grant contract agreement and all the exhibits that were sent to you with your award letter to ensure accuracy and understand compliance of this grant program. The contract that was sent to you is really for your review and informational purposes only. We will be initiating electronic signing of the contracts via DocuSign once all of your due diligence items have been submitted and approved. So no need to obtain wet signatures on those contracts or route them internally with your signers. We'll be initiating that. And to that end, we ask that when you submit your due diligence items, you also confirm the name, email addresses, and routing order, if applicable, for your authorized signers. We wanted to note a couple important dates on your grant contract agreement, the effective date, the grant period, and the expiration date. So the effective date of this grant will be July 1st, 2022, or the date when the contract is fully executed, whichever comes later. So this is the date when all parties will have signed the grant contract agreement, both your signers as well as Minnesota Housing signers. And it's the date when you can start incurring costs under the terms of the contract. So any expenses incurred prior to the full execution of the agreement by both parties are not allowed. The grant period is from the date the contract is fully executed through June 30th, 2023, and it's the time period in which the grant proceeds must be incurred and expended. So no funds can be used prior to or after the grant period. And then the expiration date will actually be September 30th, 2023, which allows for some additional time to submit all final reports, documents, and any other requirements, and final payments to be made by Minnesota Housing to your organization, or any unexpended funds be returned to Minnesota Housing. So the next item required is a board resolution. This must be from the grantee organization's board of directors. It should be a signed and dated original board resolution specific to this grant contract and including the awarded amount. It should also include the names of the individuals who are authorized to sign the grant contract agreement, and we'll be referring to that, of course, when we route the contract via DocuSign for signature. Proof of insurance should also be submitted. We ask that it's submitted as a certificate of liability. It must be employee dishonesty crime coverage, and at least 1/8 the amount of your total grant award. Kind of a special thing to pay attention to is that employee theft coverage will not be accepted, so please make sure that the coverage is what is required, being crime and or employee dishonesty. We ask that Minnesota Housing be listed as the certificate holder on the certificate, and the policy must be current with the expiration after the start date of the grant term. All right, and then I'll hand it over to G to talk a little bit about the program-specific information, so the work plan and the budget.
I was talking while I was muted. I think in our word letter, we introduced about the 101 kind of a meeting to focus on the work plan and the budget revision. So as a, that result, the meetings with all of you guys set up, and we already have met with the 4. So this is some information we will actually go over again, but if I introduce just the general component that work plan and budget must be revised based on the awarded funding amount. Pretty much all of you didn't get what you proposed to get proposed to this grant. So I think with that decreased amount of the award based on the available total the grant we have, I think you have to adjust the budget and work plan around that amount. So I included our expected outcomes that we introduced during the RFP here. Basically the message is that this work plan has to have a very strong tie to justice and equity related tasks and activities. So if we go to the next page. So I think it's probably about like repeated again, but a couple of more things that I would like to say is the one is more specific is better. Sometimes that's not probably like very clear through this kind of process, because we are talking about something we are planning, and in particular with this grant right now. Actually, we are doing some parallel work to define what justice means in our, housing, health, and probably racial aspects of a definition now. So with that, we supposed to probably start to build kind of like statewide kind of plan around. So while we are shaping that, also we are asking you to put some kind of local plan around. So it's a kind of like tricky and probably challenge which we recognize. So anything you can do, more specific is better, but still if you are not sure or something you need more time, we all understand. So check back with me and I can probably provide a little more guideline around. Also, during the application, you already provided some kind of task and activity chart to look like under the question number 2. And those tasks you are able to include, who are those, group who are working on that. So that is not only certain specific number of people, but also some other community members. But in the work plan for this contract, the task and key step information should be tied to who will be covered by this grant, but you have also additional column in the end that I think you call it additional details. So if you want to include some like a broader work group or committee members, you can feel free to do so. And work plan task and again, this key step information is also has to align to the budget item. So if you put some hours and FT information for work plan, but that is not matched to what you ask for the step cost, I think we probably need to correct one or the other. So that's a couple of things that I want to remind you first about the work plan revision. And the last thing I probably, but not the least thing I want to share is that ask a question, whenever you have any time. Elizabeth wasn't able to join today because she had some other conflict, but in general, she and I are available with any question. We rather, work with you right now rather than we wait until the due date, the due diligence due date. So the next slide, please. So I think pretty much we covered the here, but we shared the template with your award letter. So that's very similar again with what you had during the application process, except one that last column, which I introduced as an additional detail, but please do so. And then about the budget, which is next slide. Same thing, budget should be revised based on the actual award amount. And I think, especially the budget template is pretty much identical with what we used during the application process. So I believe you know how to fill those things, but maybe you need to adjust the amount again based on the award amount. I think most budget did not have that much question, but I want to call out the travel cost here. You probably heard several times from me through the last few years of a grant, but the travel budget line item is one, in my mind, is unique than any other thing, because that is going to be called out in the grant agreement, even though other items are not. Also, I think, during the contract period, if there is any change happen that also require some kind of a budget change. For example, during the pandemic, many of you were not able to spend the budgeted amount of a travel cost or meeting cost because there's very limited in-person thing happened. So during that kind of thing, I was able to adjust to some kind of a budget change without that much problem. But the travel cost is the one unique area that I cannot. We can decrease but we cannot increase. So just anticipating, hopefully not those that we are kind of like escaping from this pandemic. And I know that many of the community already have some more hybrid or in-person maybe engagement or connection or meetings are happening. Or even like, some of you are probably planning to be some of like a conference within Minnesota or outside Minnesota, that type of thing. Sometimes it's probably having some like a budget, travel budget is helpful. So please keep in mind those kind of things. Again, if you do not need to spend all, we can, probably decrease and move out to somewhere else, but we cannot increase. So I just want to make sure that you are aware of that when you are revising your budget. So that's all I have for revised work plan and budget. And again, check with me anytime if you have a question. Oh, the last thing is the acknowledgement form. Sorry. That is, this is the form that should be completed by consumable care or travel planning entity chair. So acknowledging that COC and travel planning entity for this series was MTC is aware of the award, and then also they are the one who need help the revision of work plan and then budget, and then review those things and then approve. So with that kind of acknowledgement, the COC chair or MTC chair are supposed to sign this form and then send it to us. So it can be signed digitally or electrically or wet signature, any kind of the methods that works for you, and submit it as a PDF to us. Meredith? Yeah.
Great, thanks, G. So next up is just payment information that we'll need to make sure to have in place before payments go out. So we're asking that you submit your SWIFT vendor number. If you have not yet registered as a vendor with the state, you'll want to complete that before receiving payment. So we have a link included here, and we'll send out the slides. Along with your vendor number, please submit a copy of your W-9. And I would just say, if you run into any questions about your vendor number through this process, feel free to reach out to me, and I can work with you to identify that. If you're pretty sure you have it but are having a hard time getting it into us. If you're a new grantee with us, or if you've had any changes to your banking information, we ask that you either submit the EFT authorization form or a bank change request form along with the SWIFT vendor number and W-9, so we can make sure payments are being directed to the correct place. Again, links are included here, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to send those forms to you as well. Okay, so a little bit about submission and deadlines. All of the items can be submitted to mhfa.grants@state.mn.us. We ask that you include the project name and then the name of your organization when you submit the document. And feel free to start submitting as soon as possible to allow enough time for review and approval, especially the work plan and budget. As G mentioned, there might be more questions around those documents. So if you have those ready to send in and are still gathering the others, no need to submit everything at once. You can send things in as they're ready. All of the items must be received and approved before the grant contract agreement can be executed. As we mentioned before, reimbursement of expenses incurred prior to full execution cannot be allowed. And so in order to allow enough time to make sure we get these contracts in place before July 1st, we're asking that all the items be submitted by 4:30 on Tuesday, June 7th. And you can submit any questions between now and then to the mhfa.grants email. We'll be checking that regularly and responding to you regarding submissions and questions. So with that, we'll open it up to any questions from you. As G mentioned, you can put your questions in the chat or feel free to unmute and ask anything.
I think I made this mention earlier, but again, we will share this PowerPoint and recorded training session for your reference. Probably we will do it by email. So again, the PowerPoint slide has some link that probably direct you to certain like forms and correct place that you can find some information that can be helpful for due diligence. It might happen early next week. So I just want to share that part. I think someone had a question. Jennifer?
Hi, G. I was just saying that I don't really have any questions that aren't really specific to our own budget and work plan. So I think we'll address those next week when we chat.
Yeah.
So we can just wait on that.
Yeah, that makes probably a better place. So thank you, Jennifer.
Yep.
Kala, I think you raised your hand first, and then Cody, you have a question. So maybe Kala first, and then Cody next.
Yeah, just wondering for the report out, how different this will be on our monthly budget requests and reporting out the process compared to what we've done in the past.
I think this is still quarterly. Did I miss anything? Did we say monthly? I thought it's a quarterly.
Yeah, sorry, quarterly, meant to say quarterly.
No, I was like, oh no, I don't want to do monthly. So sorry about that. Quarterly, and I think the reporting form will be very similar to what you have. Just the difference is that we have a work plan and we have now the budget. And I think the work plan you used to have was tied to some kind of like many years to some like activity. So you just there is like a one column by the invoice or budget. You can just list it what you have done. I think for this, because we have some little category that we hope to learn about some progress. So I think within the work plan, maybe we can share the template very soon. But for the budget, same thing like we did the budget a quarter, you can give us the invoice like that way. For the work plan report or progress report we are calling is that within those work plan column, the very last is just the quarter update, whatever happened or maybe made some progress in your region. So not necessarily some like long several page of a narrative type of thing, but more like several bullet point that you can capture and then share with us.
Will you be providing that in early June too, so we can set up our time tracking? I just want to know if it has to be tied to those individual work areas or if the budget would be similar to last year.
Yeah, budget and invoices should be tracked the same way. I do not think it's helpful to, I know that, work plan has certain like, how many hours or FT type of something that we want to understand how, how big that project might be kind of thing, but we are not going to track those, any of your step time or invoices through that. Kala, I saw your microphone was green and red again right now. I wasn't sure whether you want to comment one more thing or.
I just said thank you. I must have muted myself at the wrong time.
No, not at all. Okay, Corey, feels like you have some question.
Hi, G. I thought it was just a chat box. I was just saying thank you in the chat box, but I guess it wasn't a chat box. But anyways, I do have a question now along Carla's note. I haven't reviewed the contract yet fully, but is there opportunity to switch that reporting timeline to 30 days after the end of the quarter instead of 15? Or is that a MMB thing that you're forced to stick to?
I think Meredith might have a better idea, but if we don't, I think we can double check. That was more like a little different kind of thing. In the, I know, Corey, your accounting system sometimes didn't support it this way, so you always submit your the progress report first, and then whenever you are ready, you can you know, reconcile those finance things. We can still go from there, but maybe we'll see whether Meredith can you know the information about whether we can do 30 days.
Sure, I'm more than happy to. So maybe that was a question just for me. I don't know if anyone, I didn't know if anyone else runs into that same issue, I guess, but I'm happy to work with you on it the way we have been. It works just fine, but if we
Yeah, I know
open
you
it.
did that desire once, so
Yeah, we might as well make the contract match if we can, because since we're doing a new one. So
sure.
Thank
Meredith, do you know on top of your head? Otherwise, I can circle back with the legal and others.
Yeah, I think we want to just circle back, G, since it's an approved exhibit to the contract at this point.
Okay, so we will do homework, and then Cody, we will get back to you. And if anyone has that question, let me know. I can include that, you know, part 2. You can probably want to know that too. So
Thank you, G.
okay, thank you. And Justin, I think you raised your hand.
Yeah, this is a little bit on a tangent, but this grant will require these 6 Minnesota COCs to move towards this housing, health, and racial justice work. The 4 other COCs that don't have these grants, is there anything that requires them to engage in the housing, health, and racial justice work?
That is really good question. I don't know, like, you know, like probably it works probably both way if you know. So I think that this funding can be helpful because you know, 6 greater Minnesota COCs, and then the tribal partners right now, MTCs, the grantee, do not have probably some other resources that other 4 metro or city based the COCs. What I'm trying to say is that Hennepin, Ramsey, and SMAC, and also St. Louis County, although they are not part of the 7 or 9, whatever the metro area. So again, like, you know, this funding can be helpful to use that where others do not. So that's a kind of like a maybe little advantage part. But also disadvantage part is that since this grant got awarded, you are like in our world maybe strongly encouraged, but more like, you know, required to join this, you know, participation, this and that kind of thing, where other COCs are more like a, you know, voluntary, you know, encouraged and invited to those processes. So I don't think we have that, but, you know, just that's probably our hope, and hope that, you know, kind of the all partners together, we can commit, and also we can collaborate, so we can meaningfully really move forward our where we are as a more like advanced level of some justice and equity for our the population we are serving. But to your question, no, I don't think we have any strings attached to those other the COCs who are not eligible to apply this grant.
Okay, thanks.
I see, I don't know whether Corey and Jennifer, you're still question mark in your attendee list, whether you forgot to take off or it is still question. So Just want to double check. Crystal, do you have any question? Or maybe
I don't know what I have on that's indicating that I have a question, sorry.
no, I know,
I
like
have-
sometimes like ooh, yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions or some technical part that not very clear? I'm hearing none. I'm also looking at the chat and question box. I do not see any new posting. So I think then maybe we can use the another, next 20 minutes, get back to you. But you know how to get hold of me and the Elizabeth and Meredith. Basically, if you have some, line item or no, not the due diligence item related to question, those kind of thing, Meredith might be a better person to contact. But you can always feel free to go with me. I'm more than happy to share and then find some information for you. So either way, it's fine, but particularly for work plan and budget part, please, ask any question anytime. Again, 100 times better rather than none, and then we need to work after the due date. So I think that's my strong preference. Hopefully we can have some more smooth process for this contract, and then July 1st everybody can start. So okay, then it's gorgeous outside. I think maybe at least here I can see some 60 sunny kind of weather. Hopefully that's similar to where you are now. So looking forward to more opportunity to work with you. I think then we can close this session. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.